I've really been looking forward to Whisker Waters after stumbling upon it on Twitter one day. The concept of a fishing RPG reminded me of Legend of the River King, a game that absolutely hooked me in with its unique approach to both fishing and storytelling. Whisker Waters seemingly promises to be similarly poised to be a great story and a cozy fishing game bundled into one package. What's it like? Grab your tackle box, find a nice spot to set up, and cough up a furball as we review Whisker Waters on Nintendo Switch. Now before we dive in, would you mind liking and subscribing? It's the best way that content creators like me get found on YouTube, and I can't thank you enough for doing so. Whisker Waters starts by weaving a tale about fisher rangers sealing away an evil presence and then disappearing into legend. The story is told by an elder cat named Pepper Tidbit, and if this game was reviewed on names alone, it would be a winner. Now, Pepper Tidbit will guide you through the early stages of the game to show you the ropes on mastering the art of fishing. And so begins your journey to catch and catalogue fish as you travel around the world to uncover the story of the actual world you inhabit. It all sounds like a really interesting concept, but unfortunately, every great idea and gameplay mechanic is so poorly executed that this game almost instantly falls apart the second you start. Why? Let's take a look together. So the gameplay revolves around fishing and some exploration, but the problem is the fishing mechanics are fiddly and uninteresting. You walk to the water's edge and you find your fishing rod in a radial menu and cast. From here you are tasked with pressing certain directions to lure your fish to bite, except when there's a crowd of fish, the screen just becomes a jumble of directional prompts. Even if you manage to get all your target prompts correct, another fish may randomly take the bait. Sometimes it says you've hooked a high-grade fish and then instantly returns you to the default starting position of casting, instantly losing the fish. If you successfully hook a fish, you need to keep your control stick in line with a small green bar that moves in order to bring the fish closer to the shore. During this time, you may have several mini games that require you to shake the control stick from left and right or mash the A button. Win or lose, it didn't seem to matter, and you can still land your fish regardless. And these mini events simply disrupt the gameplay from being a cozy experience to a frantic and annoying button mash, which just seems to do their best to take me out of the world instead of investing me in it. There also seems to be a bunch of baffling gameplay choices that just don't work. Graphically, the world of Whisker Waters seems both crowded yet empty at the same time. The environments are littered with swaying grass and stagnant trees, and due to the low texture quality, it all seems very sterile. Your character doesn't blink or seem to have any life or interaction with the world around them, unless you leave them on an idle animation where they scratch some fleas. And everything just somehow seems lifeless. Despite the low texture resolutions, the game suffers from horrendous pop-in and is unable to maintain a frame rate of 30 frames a second pretty much the entire duration of gameplay, making both the fishing and exploration aspects of the game a chore. The camera is unwieldy and it makes it difficult to wrangle while moving around the world, as well as making me feel motion sickness, something I've never experienced before in a game. I've tried playing this game across a few different sessions, and sure enough, motion sickness certainly sets in while traversing the world, and I had to look away from the screen, have a few minutes of fresh air, and then get back to it. There are also other elements that display a distinct lack of polish that really stand out to break immersion, like leftover boxes on overlays including the main fishing UI, as well as the minigames that pop up from time to time. For my vision impaired cats, there are no accessibility options, so further research may be required to see if Whisker Waters is for you. But for the price of $30 Australian, there are plenty of other games that may be more deserving of your hard-earned money, and Whisker Waters on Switch at least feels like an early alpha build, not quite ready for consumer consumption. I was really looking forward to Whisker Waters, and it pains me to write such a negative review about such an interesting game concept. I also know this game was made from a small team, so I absolutely hate doing this. But the simple fact is, Whisker Waters is not at all good on the Switch. It's unoptimized, it runs terribly, and the controls, especially the camera, are just a nightmare to deal with. But that being said, the game does show promise, and it could be fixed with a few optimizing updates. As it stands, it's very hard to recommend Whisker Waters on Switch, and if you are very keen to play, I would suggest trying it on Steam, as the PC version fares much better and also has a return policy via Steam, just in case. The menu animation when you start in the game gives us a glimmer of hope as to what Whisker Waters could be, but until then, it's best to save your money and spend it on a different fishing game, like Moonglow Bay. So, what's it like? Whisker Waters is like Everdream Valley mixed with Animal Crossing. I award it a 46 out of 100. Thanks so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. The best way you can support me is to like and subscribe and continue watching my content if you enjoy it. But if you do want to go that bit extra, you can buy me a coffee or join our Patreon, which shows you behind the scenes of this channel. Thanks again.